Hey there, Dr. Blake Myers here again, naturopathic physician, founder of the Bridge System. And, uh, you know, I want to talk about kind of what I have come to understand menopause is really about uh, uh, for women. And this is through my experience and practice with my patients, but also culturally through my family and friends and so on. It was probably around like 2016, 2017 when I started to become more aware of uh, the elder women in my life. And by elder, I don't mean 80 necessarily, maybe, but more like elders of the community, if you will, in a sense of like maybe 60 years old or older, right? Just kind of in that tier of like maybe a mentor or a guide, right, to people who are in their 30s or 40s and so on. So an elder in that perspective. And um, I kind of started to have a realization that there was a major transition. Something was happening for women from that like 45, 47 to 55-ish range when most people go through menopause. And what I started to recognize was that as part of this transformation that I was talking about in the last email and the video, um, this metamorphosis is one that I have come to understand as uh, a metamorphosis into what many cultures would call an elder, the archetypal wise woman, the matriarch, really like with a capital M is what I call it. It's like this becoming that happens for so many women that, um, people experience this in their own way, maybe have their own words for it. I kind of experience it as, um, wow, there's a lot of wisdom here. I want to sit and I want to just learn. I want to listen, I want to be taught by this person. That sort of vibe, I guess, Um, and not to confuse matriarch with, it doesn't have anything to do with motherhood, it doesn't matter if you have kids, don't have kids, want to have children or whatever. That it's not related to that. It's more about uh, this thing that's kind of like palpable that comes along for so many women after menopause, where and science actually backs this up, which is so cool too, with the way that the brain changes during menopause. And so, I've come to really view menopause as a preparation for the next phase of life where you get to kind of take the wisdom that you have and pass it on. And that could be family, but that could be community. It could be people that you interact with wherever, like at the grocery store or in a church or community or anything else. And I one of my teachers, the late Robert Lester, who was taught by the late Eddie Belrose, he he taught me various things from an indigenous perspective, an indigenous American perspective, and he talked about like male and female energies and men and women's roles in traditional society, and that he was a part of, and and he would talk about how women hold the center of the circle, like the fire is the center of the circle, and women hold the center of the circle, and the men would hold the perimeter. Um, and there's many teachings around this, but I came to kind of understand this also from that perspective of his teaching, which was, that the women are the fabric in that example of that community, that the fabric of what really holds the community together and grounds it and holds the center of knowledge and passes that knowledge on for the benefit of the community. And um, so it's it's a physical manifestation of things that we see in that example of certain indigenous societies, and in that way of learning and teaching that I just spoke of. But also, from a scientific perspective, it's very interesting that um, women have pass on the mitochondrial DNA to all of their children. So in every cell in our body are mitochondria, which are kind of the energy producing parts of the cells, and they have their own DNA. It's separate than the other DNA that you think about with genetics and passing genes on, hereditary stuff. This DNA gets passed on, but it's different. It's DNA, it's mitochondrial DNA. Well, anyway, what's interesting is the mother passes that mitochondrial DNA on to all of her offspring, and she got it from her mother, and she got it from her mother. And so it's very interesting that even from a DNA perspective, this one DNA perspective, that is information. It's genetic information that is absolutely essential to our survival, cellular survival. And that information came from your matriarchal lineage all the way to the beginning of human existence, right? And pre-human existence. So it's very interesting that, like, we know that. We've also got these, traditional indigenous society perspectives, and then we've got this, what I've come to see as this other physical manifestation of what happens for many women after they make it through the transition to menopause, and some years after menopause, when you're postmenopausal and the symptoms kind of calm down and everything, and you sort of reach this new state of being. So I think that that's beautiful, and I just wanted to share that perspective with you today.